In order for you to heal from endometriosis, ovarian cysts, fatty liver, fibroids, the love of food must decrease and the desire to live a healthy life and be happy in your body must increase. A lot of these diseases, conditions, we have them because we love the wrong things. We love the wrong food, or we consume too much of it. But a lot of it, I think, is that we just eat the wrong things because we love them. So things that are fried, going to the restaurants all the time, eating out all the time, evolving food around dates and all that kind of stuff is what got us to this point. Because what I've noticed, if you watch my previous video where I talked about my journey to endometriosis and healing from it, you would know that it was my love of food that got me to that point. Endometriosis, ovarian cysts, fatty liver, all these diseases is a sign that you love food too much, you're eating too much of the wrong thing, and you're not feeding the body with the right stuff in order to perform at its highest capacity. Look at your body like a car. When a car is going out of petrol or it's running out of petrol, if you don't top that car up with petrol, it won't work at a certain point and it's not going to move. And it's going to create problems if you force it to move. So you have to give it what it needs in order for it to perform and do what it's supposed to do. It's the same thing with the body. When you put all this processed food in the body, right? Let's define what is processed. Anything that God did not create, but it was created by human creative idea, is basically processed, right? In the beginning, God gave us fruit and veg. He didn't give us cake. He didn't give us spaghetti bolognese. He didn't give us sushi, all these type of things. These are just ideas that people have created, and some of them taste good and some of them are not. But a lot of it is dangerous to our body due to the ingredients that have been put inside of us. And so when I was on my way to heal from endometriosis, I had to understand that I'm not supposed to have a relationship with food. You know, a lot of times when we talk about food, people say, oh, I love food so much. I love this food. I love that food. I have like a good relationship with food. I've heard people say this. And we're not supposed to have a relationship with food. We're supposed to have a relationship with other human beings. We're not even supposed to have a relationship with a cat and a dog. We're supposed to have a relationship with a human being. And so when you have a relationship with food, the result of that is going to be sickness and diseases in the body. Because honestly, when you start healing, you're going to realize that your body doesn't need that much food in a day. This was a shock to me when I was healing from endometriosis, ovarian cyst, fatty liver. It was the shock of my body doesn't need that much food in order for it to survive. Shocking. But if you look around and you look at the poorest of the poorest of the poorest people, one thing you notice is that they still have a huge pot belly even though they're poor. And they don't have access to food 24/7. So which obviously tells you that it's either stress or it's still eating the wrong thing. Because let's face it, the poor doesn't really have much. If anything, the poor does have access to the food that God has created, because a lot of it is out in the trees and the plants and all that. But they may not have the machines to make sure that it's hygienic and all that system in place, right? But a lot of time they eat the food that we, like the money that we donate to the poor, they get them food, and it's probably going to be some cheap food, powdery food, not something that's going to be nutritious to the body. So they still get that pot belly going on. But your love for food has to decrease. You have to look at food as medicine and not just something you take for pleasure. A great example of this would be chocolate. A lot of us love chocolate because there's just this thing about pleasure with chocolate. Whenever chocolate has been advertised, it's all around pleasure, right? It does something. It just, especially if you work in corporate, if you work in office, one thing you're going to see every time you go to the office is chocolates, donuts, and pizza. I don't know why, but these are the three main food that you're always going to see in corporate jobs. And it all has to do with pleasure. A lot of it has to do with pleasure. And the problem is when you take these food that gives us pleasure, it gives us problems and it gives us like a weird shape to our body. And we don't like it and we don't feel happy in it. The moment you start looking at food as medicine and not pleasure, that is when you begin to pick the right type of food and you begin to eat the right type of food, and you no longer complain about healthy eating. The moment you realize that, oh my God, my lips are so dry, I need to get myself some oranges because oranges got so many vitamin C. For me, I cannot go a week without taking oranges because that is the secret to my lips being moisturized. I can buy the best moisturizer in the world. If I don't take oranges, my lips are still going to be dry and they're still going to be chapped. Once I started buying organic oranges and I press them myself, or, whatever I do to them, as long as I get it in my body, my lips was no longer dry. My lips was no longer chapped. So now I know that if something is up in my body, I now know the type of food I need to get in my body in order for it to heal. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of the fruit and veg, they're not pleasure food. Like nobody overindulge in spinach or overindulge in avocado or overindulge in mince pie or stuff like that. Like nobody does it, right? But we overindulge in cake and popcorn and apple crumble and apple pie and all those good stuff, right? Because it tastes so good. It gives some sort of pleasure to it. But vegetables doesn't do that. Fruits kind of do it. It kind of, there's some fruits that are sweet, like grapes. But even that, it's not the same pleasure as chocolate, right? But the thing is, when you embrace these healthy food and these fruit and veg that God has given to us, your desire for those artificial food will begin to decrease, and then your body will begin to heal and your body will begin to respond differently, and you will feel different in your own body. When you have endometriosis and all these other illnesses going on in your body is trying to tell you that I'm toxic. It's easy for us to say, oh, such person is toxic due to how they behave, due to the character they display. But when your body got so many illnesses going on, you've got diabetes, insulin resistant, endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, fatty liver, all that kind of stuff, your body's trying to tell you that you are toxic because you're eating toxic shit. And when you're eating toxic stuff, then your body's like, okay, well, we're going to give you pain. We're going to give you all these problems because I don't know why you're giving us toxic stuff, right? And so look at it as a sign of, okay, I'm toxic, my body's toxic, and I need to I need to detox. And when you start detoxing, like I mentioned in my previous video, detoxing is not adding the healthy stuff. Detoxing is cutting out the bad stuff first. Because you can't mix the good and the bad together and expect healing to happen. It's not going to happen. So when I was on my way to healing myself, I cut out all the bad stuff. The rice, the waffles, the dairy, noodles, I had to cut them off. It was just non-negotiable. These were things that were toxic to my reproductive system. Once I started cutting it off, I started seeing a difference. It wasn't like instant healing, but I was starting to see some progress because I was tracking them all the time. And I say this because a lot of people take so many medication. You're buying all this smoothie recipe and all this things that are advertised online. But what you really need is just to cut out a lot of stuff. But when you love food so much, what I find is, and it's something I did in the past, is we're trying to look for a way to still hold on to the bad, but then add the healthy to it and still hold on to the bad and look for a way to make the bad work. When God had told me to cut off the dairy, I was still trying to indulge a little bit. So instead of taking whole milk, I would take plant milk. Instead of taking milk chocolate bars, I would take bars that had soy protein in it and all this stuff. And I would think, why am I still having big, heavy clots? Like, I've already stopped the dairy and I've decided to go for the plant, until I realized that soy protein, soy products in general, triggers certain hormones in the body and makes the situation worse. And so what I noticed was that I listened to this, there's this particular man that I listened on YouTube, and he said something. He said, look, if you are looking at a particular food and you read the ingredients and you don't know what that is, it shouldn't be in your body. And I thought about it and I said, oh my gosh, this is true. And so I had this protein bar and I looked at the ingredients and I thought, what is this? It had soy protein, it had lectin in it, stabilizers, just a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't know what it was. And then I said, okay, let me Google stabilizers. So when I Googled stabilizers, it was just this powdery thing, but what is it? Well, like, what is it? And so at that point, I realized, okay, looking at the back, reading the ingredients is letting me know that I'm starting to become aware of what I'm actually putting inside my body. Because if you're just putting stuff in your body, but you're not looking at the ingredients, then you're not being careful. You're toxic, right? Because healthy people don't do that. Healthy people look at the ingredients. They want to know what is in this and should this be in my body or not. So when you have all this curable disease, because they are curable, I 100% believe they're curable if you do it the natural way. It just takes time. What it's trying to tell you, what your body's trying to tell you, is that you are toxic. It sounds hard. It might be harsh, but that's the reality. You are toxic. You got a lot of toxic stuff in your body and you need to let it out. And one of the ways you can do that is to detox and let it out. Now, if you're wondering, how am I going to start doing this? This is where my work comes into play. Okay, so I have created a document that will tell you what you need to cut out of your diet and what you need to eat in a week. Every single week you need to make sure you have these particular vegetables every single week. I don't care how you cook it, where you cook it, how you make it, when you have it, just make sure you eat them every single week. And then that way you are on the journey to healing yourself. Once you cut out the things I've asked you to cut out, first of all, starting with starch flour, okay? I'll give you some tips. Starch flour. So starch flour, anything that is in a powdery form. So there's custards, they sell custards, right, in a powdery form where you go home and you make them. Some of them are ready made, but majority of them, they sell them in a powdery form. That should be cut out because you don't know what that is. What is it? It's powder. What is powder? Your body is looking at it like, okay, this is powder, but there's no nutrients in there. There's nothing in there to heal. No nutrition in there. It's just powder. It could be cocaine for all I know, right? So anything, starch flour, potato flour, rice flour, it should be cut off. Especially if you got inflammation in the lower part of your belly, which you probably might have if you have endometriosis or cysts, you need to cut that out. Any food that is quick to cook, things like instant noodles, cut it off. Toxic. Because anything healthy is not done that quick. You have to cook. And while you're on this journey to healing yourself, there's also a lifestyle change, which means you have to start learning how to cook. Unless if you have a lot of money to hire a chef. If you don't have a lot of money to hire a chef, you're going to start learning how to cook. And the best part is you get to control what goes into that food and what goes into your body. I don't know about you, but I love when I can control what I'm doing for, like what I'm able to do for myself, and not trying to control other people. I don't try to control other people. That stuff is hard work. But when you get to control what you eat, where you eat, when you eat, what you buy, how much you earn, there's just that feeling of, you just feel grown, you know, you feel like an adult, you feel like you're in charge, right? And so learning how to cook, that's what makes it a lifestyle change, because you cannot rely on all these restaurants to care about your health. They don't. When I used to work in the kitchen many years ago, there was a particular chef who would add alcohol to, was it red cabbage? Was it red cabbage? He would add alcohol to red cabbage or raisins. And I would tell him, oh my gosh, this is really unhealthy to add alcohol to red cabbage. And he's like, so this is what people eat. This is what they pay for. So it doesn't matter. So I'm telling you this because a lot of restaurants, they don't care about your health. They're just trying to make money. They just want to make profit and keep the business going. So only you can care for your own body. Only you can love your own body. No one else is going to love it and care for it more than you. And so this is where you taking charge comes into play. You cannot rely on anyone else to do it for you than yourself. No one is, responsible for your own body than you. In my Word document, I will list the things that you need to cut off. List the ingredients that you need to cut off. I'm not going to tell you the food that you need to cut off, but I'm going to list the ingredients that you need to cut off. I'm not going to tell you, oh, stop eating pasta, oh, stop eating noodles. But when you look at the ingredients, you are going to cut it off. So if you look at the ingredients of pasta and noodles, you will see that, pasta and spaghetti, then the ingredients is semolina. If you look at semolina is a powdery form. It's in a powder form, which is going to trigger your blood clots in your endometriosis, which is also toxic to your liver, and there's no nutrients in that. So you're going to have to cut it off, right? And then also in that document as well, I'm also going to tell you what you need to eat every single week. So I'll leave my email address in the description box. Once you email me that you'd like to get those documents, I will send you the account details or send you a link. Once I received the funds, then I will send those documents over to you. It's not a lot of document. It's just one page, okay? And I'm just going to tell you what you need to have each week, what you need to eat, how you cook it, when you cook it, how you make it is up to you, as long as you eat it in those weeks. And I'm also going to tell you what you need to cut off in terms of detoxing, and that is it. All you do, you can have this document anywhere you go in the world. It's not something where you need to open up a laptop or something. Nah, you have it saved on you, with you. So wherever you are in the world and you're like, oh my gosh, have I forgotten to eat this? Let me look at that list again. No, I've had that this week. I've had this week. I've had this week. Then you know you've done it. And you are going to start seeing some drastic changes. This is not about losing weight. This is curing every disease in your body, because if you do have endometriosis, you are going to have immune disease, you are going to have insulin resistance, you are going to have a fatty liver. They're all working together. They're all connected. The whole body is connected. So that is really it for my video. Make sure you do send me an email, drop me an email. I want to hear your experience in the comment section as well. Drop me an email. I will send you the account details, and then you are on the road to healing, because the best feeling in the world is to feel good in your body. That's the best feeling ever, is to feel good in your body. You can have so much money in the world, but if you feel sick inside, you don't look alive. You don't have the strength to do anything, right? But even if you're broke and you feel good inside and you have so much energy, you can conquer the world and make so much more money. So that is it for this video. Hit the like button and I'll see you all next time. Bye.